If you really want to scale your ads so that you can really scale your business, then you have to use testing campaigns. Now, in the Shoney 255 method, we have 2 campaigns. This would be considered campaign number 3. So I'm going to rock through in this video inside the ads dashboard. You keep asking me for more of the in-dashboard training, so I'm going to continue to create them. I would love any feedback on if you want more of these, any specifics that you would like me to go through, campaign styles, specific things you would like me to dive into to make sense of, anything like that. But in this video right here, we're going to go into testing campaigns. Now, just so I can show you on the dashboard here in this testing account right here, or this example account right here, what I've got here is the example of the Shoney 255 method, okay? So with the Shoney 255 method, we have 2 campaigns, one for warm, one for cold. That's people who know who we are and people who do not know who we are. We have those apart because if we were just to bring all of those audiences together, what we would end up with is Facebook looking at the warm campaign as this being much more a much smaller audience that's going to cost more to get in front of, and therefore a high probability, or a high percentage in fact, of your ad budget is going to go towards complete strangers in the cold campaign. Now there's pros and cons to both sides, but we want to optimize for both campaigns to be able to run effectively. For instance, if you've got people who have watched over 75% of your recent videos, if you've got people who have visited your website in the last 7 days, if you've got people who have recently followed you, if you've got people that are engaging with your socials overall in the last 365 days, these different audiences, some niche and some broader, there's still people who know who you are, and you wouldn't want your ad dollars to be going out there and for you not to be actually reaching any of the people that you've already worked so hard to engage. In fact, you would want to maximize that at the best cost per lead that you possibly could to get those people to actively opt in or to take meaningful action on the other side. However, on the other side, we also want our cold campaign there that we can dedicate, and we can look at the cost per lead and not have it skewed by people who know who we are. Again, if we brought warm audiences in, and let's say that Facebook did spend significantly on the warm audience, then it would skew the results of what we were assuming was happening with people who were complete strangers. So if we want to know, does our lead magnet, does our challenge, does our paid event, does our messenger ads, does our 3x reel strategy, whatever strategy, we've got 36 different ad frameworks. If we're running any of these, we want to know, is the warm campaign bringing in leads? Is the cold campaign bringing in leads? We split them out. Inside each of those, we have 5 ad sets each. Okay, so we're already doing testing at this level. So we have our warm campaign here, our cold campaign here. We'd have 5 warm audiences. Just to quickly run you through them, we would, for instance, do our 7-day stack. That's people who have engaged with your socials or visited your website in the last 7 days, to keep it simple. It's a little bit more than that when we go through the training videos, but it's essentially that. Second of all, we have our 30-day stack. So 30 days, the exact same thing, but we're excluding the people that have engaged in the last 7 days. Okay, so it's still recent, it's still chunky, but we're not having overlap. Again, we want accurate data, so we exclude the people that engage with you in the last 7 days. Thereafter, we'll very likely do a video view audience. This will be based upon the coach that we're working with. If it is a newer coach with a smaller audience that hasn't done tons of video content or just doesn't have really high views on their videos in general, we'll create an audience of people that have watched at least 25% of one of their videos, and we'll make clear that they shouldn't select any videos within this audience that are below 15 seconds, okay? So that 25% is a meaningful indication of interest. However, if it's a bigger account, and we've even got Adam, for instance, he joined us like 8 months ago, didn't have any online clients or an online business whatsoever, had just over 200 followers, wasn't posting anything with regards to coaching. Now, 8 months on, I think we're at nearly 300,000 followers. So as you can imagine, this can change over time as well. So in Adam's situation, he would create an audience of people that have watched at least 95% of one of his videos, okay? And so if it's a newer coach and you don't have such a chunky audience, you would do like 25%. If you are a coach that has a chunkier audience, or you do a lot of video content, then you could do 50%, 75%, 95%, or have watched videos to completion. Okay. So that's like 3 examples. A 4th example that we would do is website visits on its own, excluding the other audiences. And then we would do a broad social audience. So anybody that have engaged with your socials, Instagram or Facebook in the last 365 days, break it out like that. Going into the cold campaign, so we have a really set structure of how you choose audience number 1, audience number 2, audience number 3, audience number 4, and audience number 5. But just to keep it simple and to get through the video quickly for you and make life simple, you just want 5 variations. Now we have categories and we show them how to search for them. We even show them how to use ChatGPT for really detailed ideas that allow them to go outside of the box of what other people would choose, so that they're finding niche audiences with less competition and lower cost leads. But essentially, it's 5 audiences. We're using interest targeting or lookalikes to find those 5 variations, and to allow Facebook to tell us which ones are going to be the best performers. Now, here's the interesting thing. In both the warm campaign and the cold campaign, the very audience that you feel would naturally be the one that would perform the best is probably going to be the one that performs either the 3rd, 4th, or 5th best. The one that you thought, this one is probably not going to work, but Neil told me that I'm supposed to do this, that one's probably going to be the one that's either number 1 or number 2. Okay, so that's why the Shoney 255 method is as it is at the starting stage of testing. Because if you just go with, hey, I know best, I know my audience, so I'm going to target this audience with this advert. Well, if you have a 1-1-1 campaign like most coaches do, which is one audience going to one advert, you have to hope that the advert is perfect, the copy is perfect, the image is perfect, and it resonates perfectly with the single audience that you've chosen. Even if it works, you've got nowhere to go for further optimization. With the Shoney 255 method, we can see does warm beat cold. Inside warm and cold, if they're both performing well, we can find within the ad sets opportunities to turn things off so that we can optimize and push the budget towards the things that do work. Okay, the same thing is true with the ads, but that is a video for another time because it's not as simple as with the ad sets for optimization. Sometimes you will find certain ads that look like they have a high cost per lead, but you're actually missing a trick there if you turn them off. So I'm going to make a video about that because it is super important for optimizing campaigns. I can't tell you the amount of coaches that have heard me talk about turning off things that are underperforming and have gone off their own back and just gone, oh, well, I've tried 5 ads, I'll turn off the 4 that don't work as well. Basically, to cut a long story short, you end up with a situation where Facebook only has one advert again to work with, which means they can't re-engage people effectively the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th time that they see your ad. But anyway, that's for another video. So let's say that you're running the Shoney 255 method here. You've got a warm campaign, you've got a cold campaign, and you are getting great ROIs. Okay, so let's say it is, I've got here entry offer lead magnet. That's one of our 36 different ad systems that we use with lead ads in this scenario here. So Facebook lead ads, the objection would be leads, and then we would use Facebook lead form in this scenario. We have another variation of something similar to this where we use a funnel. It's for quality control and it's only used in certain niches. In most cases, we would use a Facebook lead form for most coaches in this space. Okay, so let's just say that you're getting leads for £1 a go or $1 a go on each of these campaigns, and so for every 1,000 that come through, even if you've got a 1% conversion rate there, then you've got 10 people who are new clients. Let's say you've got £1,000 product, a 1% conversion rate from opt-in to close, and in that scenario you would have a 10x return. Okay, so overall you spent $1,000, you've made 10 grand back, 9k in profit, you've made a 10x return. Okay, so in that type of scenario, the first thing that you would actually do before going any further would be to start the scaling process for both of these. And so as long as there's not a massive differentiation between warm and cold in terms of the cost per lead, and again, there's caveats to this around the quality of somebody who knows who you are and likelihood of purchase versus somebody who doesn't. And therefore, if the warm campaign is at a higher price, there's a bit of a calculation that we do to determine, does this need optimization, or can this also be scaled even though it's at a higher price? But anyway, let's just say that overall you're like, this campaign's flying, I've got a 10x return, I'm spending decent cash on this, so it's like, there's a decent starting ad budget here, and it's proven itself as an effective way to turn a lead into a client whilst also growing an email and SMS list by 1,000 people every single month. Now it's time to scale, right? So we start the scaling process after, of course, that little bit of optimization with turning off ad sets and some stuff with your ads themselves, but it's going to be mainly about increasing the budget effectively. Once you have done that, and again, that's another upcoming video, is about how to scale effectively. Facebook's own specific documentation on how to scale ad budgets is something that we've done thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of actual split tests for this very reason, to see the outcome. And it didn't come out in evidence, the documentation into the results that we saw. So I'll go through that in a future video anyway. Okay, so let's just say that you've got both of these running well, you've started the scaling process. Do you have to sit on your hands and just continue to wait from there? Well, no. Now we would bring in our first testing campaign. So when you've got your ads running really well, a testing campaign is where we simply take the cold campaign here in two cases. In one case, we would take the warm campaign, but in the cold campaign is a simple route to do it. And you would actually just hit the duplicate button. Okay, so you would hit duplicate, show existing reactions, comments, etc. on the ads. That would be a yes, because if you've already got social proof on the ads, you would want those same ads to go out to brand new audiences, because if there's likes and comments on an advert, people are more likely to opt in as well. A conversation. I know I'm going off on tangents here, but I hope this is. Let me know in the comments if tangents are valuable to you. Something that's another hack here is that more comments, more likes on ads typically mean that you end up with lower cost per leads when they go out to brand new audiences. Okay. Something that you can do is you can get the link to the specific ads that are your highest performers. And first of all, you can ensure that that specific ad is running in all ad sets. Okay, so you can actually take the ID and you can make sure they're running in all ad sets. The second thing that you can do is you can take that link and you can actually send it to clients and basically clients that you're close with, that you're in, very conversational with, and say, hey, this is a really high performing ad for me already. Any chance you could just literally just drop into the comments and say about your experience of working with me? And then they'll go, yeah, sure, no problem. Click, comment, it's done in 2 seconds. But now that comment's in there, and what happens when you see an advert, especially in a high skepticism market, what happens when you see an advert and you go, that's really interesting, but I don't really trust it, okay? What do you do if you see that there is 34 comments? You click to read the comments. And that actually has a huge effect on whether you will get results or not get results, get the opt-in or not get the opt-in. So something that you can do is you can optimize those comments by sending that link directly to your clients, okay? But anyway, you'd hit duplicate here, and you would have your new campaign, okay? And so essentially what we're looking to do here is, so you've got your campaign here, you've got your ad set here. So campaign is like, what is it we're doing? So it's the entry offer lead magnet. I would change this from cold to testing. Keep it as UK and Ireland in this scenario. And then everything would stay the same, okay? So I would actually have advantage campaign budget turned on in a real case if this was actually running. But everything would stay the same at the campaign level. Campaign is basically, what is it that we're doing? It's are we doing a lead campaign? Are we doing a sales campaign? What do we want to call the campaign? It's basically just the top end of what this thing is, okay? The second thing here is your ad sets. Now your ad sets, for easiness of understanding, is just quite simply who is going to see it and where are they going to see it. So you're targeting certain audiences. Who do you want to see the ad? And second of all, where do you actually want them to see it? Do you want them to see it on Instagram? Do you want them to see it on Facebook? If you want them to see it on Facebook and Instagram, is there anywhere that you would like them not to see it? Because you can turn off placements as well. So you can say, only show this in the newsfeed, or only show this on the right hand side column, or any other placement that is important to you that you feel is a really, really good fit. So some ad campaigns that we've ran, we only run inside stories. There's some cool hacks with that for remarketing and different things that you can do as well. And when you actually do some of these things, you discover that there's certain things that you can do in which if you turn off every placement other than one placement, this could be another video as well. Let me know if you would like that in the comments. But if you turn off every single placement other than one, Facebook, in some cases, when you go through to create the advert, releases different features of things that you can do with that advert. It's really, really cool. But anyway, we can do some variations of that in other videos. So for easiness of understanding, it's who's going to see your advert and where are they going to see it, and then here is your ad itself. Now let's just say that if it's the Shoney 255 method, we would actually have 5 of these ad sets. Okay, so we'd already have 5 of them there ready to rock and roll. We would have all the ads made because in the example, pardon me, if we already had the cold campaign running, we already have 5 ad sets and 5 ads attached to each of those ad sets, which means that when we do what we just did here, which was duplicate the campaign, everything's going to be here on the left-hand side. We're going to see 5 ad sets. We're going to see 5 ads or 10 ads within each of those ad sets as well. And so the really cool thing is all you need to do is go into each of the ad sets individually like this, okay? And so we can come all the way down here at this stage, and we can switch to, you wouldn't have to do this because you would already have done this as well. But anyway, switch to original audience. And then we're actually going to come down here. We're not going to do anything with warm audiences. That would be one of the 3 ways that you could do this, to be fair. But what we would actually like to do is just use detailed targeting right here. I still call them custom audiences because I'm old school like that. Anyway, detailed targeting. Well, what we would be doing here is nothing more than testing 5 new audiences. That's it. And so we have 5 categories that we use for the cold campaigns for the Shoney 255 method. What we would be doing here is actually testing out 5 different audiences. Okay. Now, there's a second way that you can do this as well, which is instead of using detailed targeting or creating lookalike audience as well. So you can click here and create a lookalike audience as well. So you could create lookalike audiences. You could use detailed targeting. So this would be like people interested in Waitrose, people interested in Peloton, so interests like that, or sometimes they're demographical, as you can see, so demographical as well as interest. So this could be people who are parents, people who are in a relationship, people who are married, people who have a certain job title. There's loads of things that you can do there. Lookalike audiences are going to be based upon your warm audiences. So it could be like if you created that audience of people who watched at least 95% of at least one of your videos, you can create a lookalike audience of those people to go and find more people who are akin to the people who are already watching your content organically, which is a cool thing as well. You can either do them all as lookalike audiences, you can do them all as detailed targeting, or you could do a mix of the two. It's a testing campaign. It really doesn't matter, okay? And what you would do here as well is you would actually have a lower budget on this as well. So just for instance, let's say that you're spending $100 a day on your warm campaign, $200 a day on your cold campaign. Well, your testing campaign will probably only be £20 per day or £25 per day in that scenario. If you're spending much less than that on your warm and cold campaign, your testing campaign might genuinely be £5 or £10 per day. It's literally just about teasing these ads out here with these audiences and seeing what comes back in terms of results. Now, sometimes you'll find that you have 5 winners in there. Sometimes you'll find that 4 are complete duds and you find a great winner, and you get to take that ad set and you can actually add it to your other campaign. So the really cool thing is you can actually use this right here, and instead of doing a quick duplicate, you can hit duplicate itself, and you can actually select your other campaign and you can say duplicate this and add it to the other campaign, to your warm to your cold scaling campaign. Okay, so as we start with a warm campaign and a cold campaign, we're almost now renaming the cold campaign as our scaling campaign, because we've introduced what is our testing campaign that we will have running 365 days a year on a smaller budget, and we will continue to delete audiences, to add new audiences in, to test them out and see what works. Okay. Something else that you can do with testing campaigns is different locations. So in this example, I was talking about this being UK and Ireland. Well, something that you can also do is, and we've done this with so many of the coaches inside Systems of Scale. In fact, Simon that we're working with is in the fitness space. I believe the last couple of months was somewhere in the region of 85 to 100k British pounds per month inside his fitness business, which is a tough industry to do 7 figures in, but that's what's occurring. And with that example, when he first came in, we were very focused, or he was very focused on the UK market. So we were doing advertising to the UK market. The first thing we did was we optimized the campaigns and brought in some new campaigns as well. The second thing was we scaled those campaigns. So we increased the budget quite dramatically to increase the amount of people that were coming through on a daily basis. And then the next thing that we did was we actually, instead of creating a testing campaign with new audiences for the UK, we actually just, those audiences were flying. So what we actually did was, instead of trying to find a few pennies less here and there with the UK market, we actually went out to the US market. So we duplicated the campaign, and our testing campaign became around the US market. Okay. Now, again, this could be another video. Another video here could be about how you actually need different creative in most cases for the UK and the US market. Slightly different in terms of what they stop scrolling for, what they stay engaged with, what they react to, modes of taking action, and what needs to happen after the opt-in to get that conversion to occur. So you need a couple of changes here and there, but to simplify it, if you've got a campaign that's working really well in the UK, and there's nothing to say that duplicating the campaign and testing other locations couldn't be an effective strategy for you without those additional changes. It's just that we've found in evidence across quite literally thousands of coaches that we've worked with at this stage and been inside their ad accounts, giving them ad reviews every 48 to 72 hours. We know that when people are US based only, and then they're like, I want to run ads in the UK now. When we don't change the creative slightly, and it's slight, but it's important, when we don't change the creative slightly, we don't get great results. When we change the creative slightly, we get much better results. And it's the same way the other way around. And indeed, when people go to Australia, New Zealand, outside within Europe, and many other countries, Canada, etc., is very common in terms of targeting as well. When we test these different markets, very often we need to change our language slightly, not actual language, but sometimes the slang that we use. Some markets appreciate directness, and some markets appreciate conversational flow style ad content. Some markets rather inverted commas bigger claims, as in like truthful, but they rather the bigger claims. They're drawn to them. Other markets are resistant to big claims. And they're very skeptical. So you have to take these into account when you're testing different locations. But that's something that we've got tons of experience with. So if you're looking to scale to other countries with your advertising, it's definitely something that we can help with there as well. But anyway, so this testing campaign, really simple. We're kind of getting to the end of what we need to go through here. Essentially, it's set up the Shoney 255 method, warm and cold campaigns. You optimize them first, you start the scaling process second, but you don't need to wait until you meet a cap before you bring in a testing campaign. When you're doing the scaling process, you've already got a proven ROI on your campaign. You can start to bring in test campaigns to go ahead and find additional audiences, additional locations in which there's other winners out there. And by the way, many times you will find within your testing campaigns ad sets, audiences, locations that outperform even the great results that you were seeing in the first campaigns that you created as well. So it's 100% something that is important here. I run my own testing campaigns at 150 to 200 pounds per day, continuously, every single day of the month. So that's between 4.5 and 6k a month is spent on the testing campaigns. And here's something to note with testing campaigns. Testing campaigns is not throwing money down the drain that you can only make money on further down the line. Very often, like I said, your testing campaign, because you're still being, methodical about how you're choosing the audiences that you're going after here, very often your testing campaigns can perform as good and sometimes even better than your other campaigns. Never mind the fact that if they're not quite there, they're probably still delivering results. Like, for instance, when I said about a 1% conversion rate and 1,000 opt-ins returning a 10k return, so £1,000 or dollars in, 10k back. Well, let's just say that the testing campaign had some great audiences and some terrible audiences. Let's say that conversion rate halved. Well, in that scenario, the person still spends $1,000 but makes 5k instead of 10k. They still make a 5x return, they still make 4k profit. So testing campaigns are not just like burning money because you're such a grand thinker about the future and such a long-term thinker. It's not that at all. The testing campaign, I'm focused on ROI, just like everything that I do with my own business and indeed with every business that we work with. The only thing that really matters is money in versus money out. The testing campaign is the same, but when we find those winners, we're going to add them to the campaigns that are already at a much higher ad spend, so that we can flow much more volume into those great audiences. Other than that, team, if this has been valuable to you, then please hit me down below with some comments in terms of what you liked about it, what were some key takeaways. Do you like the tangents or would you like me to make these 10 minutes shorter and not add additional tips in? And then on top of that, of the ones that I said that I was going to create, let me know if any of those ones are ones that you want me to prioritize in the next couple of weeks here, and I'll create them on the channel as well. Other than that, do all the YouTube stuff, the likes and the subscribes, and I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next video.